All right, guys, welcome to another What Is It?
What is it? Come and see here at Manna University.
All right, so we're back. If it's your first time, welcome. I'm Dee. This podcast is going to be all about educate, equip, and empower. I'm your host, but every single month I have a different co-host. Now, I will say that this month's co-host has actually been here before, and he's actually the first one to be able to return. I'm not going to tell you why he gets to return and no one else has, but just know this is not Dr. Serrano's first go at this podcast thing with us. Welcome back.
So I'm the first one that's come back.
You are the first
That makes
one.
me feel better about how long it's been since I've been invited onto the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody else hasn't got an invite back yet.
And some of them should not be invited back, but that's for a different.
We won't ask
I'll let
you
y'all
who
figure out who I'm thinking of.
Okay, we won't. Yeah, don't worry about it. All right, so we're gonna do 3 segments, guys. The first segment is going to be mostly focused on educate. The second, equip, and the second, empower. But they'll seem like they're not because I've got some very specific questions that I want to talk to Dr. Serrano about today. So let's jump in there with. So we heard Manna U is doing something new called Manna University Leadership Institute.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
The Manna University Leadership Institute. That's a really long name, by the way.
It is. I
feel like I need a break. Yeah, we call it the MULI or MULI, depending on how you want to pronounce it. That is our gift to the local church. At Manna University, we say we serve the local church. It's one of our core values as an institution. And I wanted us to create a space where we can be a value add to local churches. How many times do you talk to someone about Manna U and they hit you with I already have a degree. I don't want a degree. I don't want to go to college. Will there be tests? I don't want to write papers. So a lot of people come to us and say, I want to engage in biblical higher education. I want to learn more about the Bible. But there's usually some roadblock in the way. And I get that. College is not for everyone. University is not for everyone. Not everyone's called to get a degree. But I stand on the principle that everyone is called to engage in biblical higher education at a level beyond their comfort zone. So wherever you are, I think all of us should engage a little more deeply. So we partnered with a great developer, an app developer. Develop.me is the name of the company. Just happened to be created by an alumni of Manna University, one of our first doctoral students who graduated with his doctorate at Manna U. He developed a training system for churches, a leadership training system for churches. And so we talked back and forth, and eventually it looked like your platform and your concept may be the thing we want to do for our own purposes, which they were like, yes, please do it. So bottom line is the MULI is a non-traditional entry point into higher ed, biblical higher ed. What do I mean by non-traditional? It's not for credit. It doesn't transfer into a degree program. There are no tests. It's literally, here's some information broken down in some bite-sized chunks where you can start to take that step into studying more about the Bible, learning more about the Bible.
That's good. So I love that. I love the way it's set up because it's like one course, but then it has like 5 modules with 5 lessons per module, which comes out to 25 lessons. And so when you said bite size, I'm like, it literally is. So for people who have struggles with things like ADHD, this is helpful. I say that as a person. It's helpful because it's like boom, I've got this small amount of information that I can chew on and swallow before I have to jump in the next thing. So I think that's really cool. Okay, so how does you say MULI? MULI. Yeah. I say MULI. Yeah.
I say MULI because the team member who oversees it, that's how they pronounce it. So I just say it the way that they're saying it.
Got it. All right. So how does MULI effectively align with the educate value of Manna U?
Great question. Educate means we are a people and a place of learning. So yes, we are an institution accredited, but we're also a people of learning. So this is really putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to being a learner, a lifelong learner. The MULI is free. It doesn't cost someone anything to take the classes. They can earn what we call a micro credential from Manna U that has a small little fee attached to it, but at the end of the day, for someone who just wants to learn, that's what people are always telling me. I just want to learn more about the Bible. I just want to learn more. I'm kind of meeting them where they're at. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Yeah.
So our team has collaborated. We recorded the lessons. We found the platform. Now we're just letting other people, now you put your money where your mouth is and take advantage of it and learn. So it helps us be a people in a place of learning. That original course we set up is called Foundations. So they'll have some lessons on the Bible, on worldview, on people, on leadership. What do I do with the New Testament, Old Testament? Just kind of the basics of maybe it's a little bit of a Old Testament, New Testament, life of Christ, destiny and calling, some of our leadership classes. It's kind of just a I don't want to say surface level. It's just kind of an overview of some of the content you would have if you were a Manna U student. But again, it allows people to enter into the process, the baby step of learning more.
Okay. I like that. Okay, so in that idea, you've kind of explained like who it's for in the sense of the people who are saying like, I just want to learn more about the Bible. Is there people that it's not for?
Yeah, it is definitely not for current Manna University students.
That's what I want.
We've actually had several Manna University students sign up for it, and we have to lovingly let them know you already got all of this content in that 3 credit hour course that you took on this. This is actually not for you. This is for people who do not want a traditional degree. This is essentially our way to have an informal, I said non-traditional. This is the difference between informal or non-formal education and formal education. Non-formal education takes place in small groups. Non-formal education takes place in, I'm going to watch this YouTube video. I'm going to watch a TED Talk video. That's what non-formal education is. So what we're doing is saying, here is made by us, for us, non-formal education, so that you can learn more and you can be trained and you can be equipped, but it's not going to transfer into something. So it's not for current students. It's not for people who think that they're going to be able to take the MULI courses and then transfer it into a program. No, it's not for that either. We do have another mechanism for that. You can audit a class at Manna University, audit it completely, and then say, I want to take the class now for credit, and you pay the fee, and boom, you got the credit for it. So there are some ways to do that, but it's not through the MULI.
I love it because that just shows that there are many different ways to jump into higher education, biblical higher education at Manna University that could fit for anybody in the season that they're in. And that's something that's really good to know. Okay, so that was educate. We're going to jump into equip. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about what Manna U has done, but not with MULI, just overall. What's some of the things that has changed recently at Manna University?
For the equipping part, we're constantly tweaking how we deliver courses. We're constantly tweaking, making sure that what we're offering is what our stakeholders want. So we serve the local church. Our first client, local churches. They need church planters, they need small group leaders, they need staff members. There's people who feel called to ministry and we don't know what that looks like. So if we are disconnected from the local church, we'll never be able to really serve them. So we put a lot of effort into being along the military highway. So various Manna churches and other partner churches as well. Back to the MULI real quick. We have 17 active students right now in the MULI.
Very nice.
It's pretty amazing curriculum. We're working now on building the next big class, which will be called Rooted. So it's kind of the essentials of Christian belief. What do we believe? Professor Christensen and I are going to teach that one. So we're excited about that. But for equipping, it's really about putting tools on people's tool belt. So we're constantly figuring out how to help you understand the Bible better, how to pray better, how to have the right mindset and heart when you are serving. That's such a big part of what we do as an institution and the churches that we serve. So I'm always tweaking how we do things. There's some stuff I can't talk about yet that are going to be like earth-shattering in how we deliver courses and assignment types for the school.
That means you just got to come back.
I'm really excited about that. I'm running a cohort right now with some lead pastors, which is really good to kind of give them a different style of education that meets them right where they are without obviously backing away from the rigor. They still have to do the work Yeah.
Yeah. So there sounds like there's a lot of pieces to not just MULI, but a lot of the different things that are going on in Manna U. You speak a lot about the local church and how this is going to be helpful for them. How do you feel like it specifically and directly equips our students?
Yeah. One student I talked to just yesterday said that he had a conflict in his church, conflict with his team that he was working with, and they were doing kind of like we do an AAR, after action review, of a process of a message and some things, and he was sharing with me that in the heat of that, things got a little testy. Some folks got a little offended.
Yeah.
And his words to me yesterday were, Dr. Serrano, the servant leadership that I learned at Manna University equipped me to handle that situation, because instead of yelling back, instead of getting heated, I just humbled myself. I apologized. I took the low road. I listened. He talked about the process, but he just went on and on and on about how learning about servant leadership, not just the theory, but from a biblical perspective, and then how it is applied, he said it absolutely equipped him in that real moment where there's church leaders and things are getting tense. He actually drew back on, oh, I learned about this. Let me put it into practice.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so this is not actually a question that I had, but I was thinking about it earlier. You watch the podcast, right? I asked that because there are people who are on their podcast who don't watch their podcast. So I just thought I'd make sure.
I don't know those people. I don't understand those people.
Yeah, I don't either, but to be each.
I want to get better at everything I do.
Yeah.
I want to improve. So I was just telling someone this. Have we had Pastor Nick Ortel on our podcast
We
yet?
haven't.
Okay.
Yet,
I'm not telling you need to. I'm not telling you not to have him. But
Okay.
I was chatting with Nick, and he, I think it was last Sunday, chatting with Nick, and we were talking about listening to yourself back. And I told him, for me, anytime I speak publicly, I listen to myself. Not because I like the sound of my voice, because I could just talk to myself or have my internal monologue if I wanted to hear myself. But to try to improve, so sometimes it's encouraging because you'll communicate and feel like, man, I really messed that up. Then you rewatch it and you go, oh, that wasn't that bad at all. So it's just a practice I've had for a long, long time. So little tangent there, but yes, I actually do.
I asked that before I asked this question because otherwise it'd be pointless. But it's not safe to assume that you do, just because I do know that people don't always. So my question to you is, recently we've been focusing most of the podcast on students, whether they're current students or alum, and we've given them an opportunity to give shout outs to different staff members and just to kind of talk about their experience. How has that spoken to you as far as being the person who's leading the train of educate, equip, and empower, and hearing these different students come on? I mean, we have one student literally end up in tears because of what they've got to experience at Manna U. So as the president, how does that translate for you? How does that make you feel to hear students publicly say amazing things about what we're doing at Manna U?
Yeah, it's everything. If we serve the local church, and if we get to serve our students, then what they see and what they're experiencing matters tons. So for me, in my seat, it just means, yes, culture matters. That's my main job. I don't lead the staff of Manna University. We have cabinet members who lead different lanes in academics and compliance and billing and finance and enrollment. Everyone has a boss that's pretty much not me. I think there's only like 3 or 4 people in the institution who report directly to me. But what I guard and what I really am passionate about is, of course, the vision, the mission. That's what the board, pays me to do.
Yep.
But more than that, to really be the chief cultural influencer and guide here. So culture is everything. The culture of we serve our students, that matters. So when I hear that feedback, to me, it's a yes, thank you, Lord. We're on the right direction, because what I'm hearing back is the culture that we have written all over the walls is what's actually happening in the hallways. People are experiencing the culture that we want to create. So no, that's really good. I got to give a shout out too to our student services director, Daniel McBride. He's been on the podcast That was a silly podcast too.
It
I
was
remember turning that off
it
and
was
going, so
very
silly.
silly.
You guys were doing well. Then it kind of
We,
ends like, well, you fell off the
yeah,
cliff at the
I
end.
don't know what happened.
Well, I know what happened. You had Daniel McBride on the podcast.
Okay.
So Daniel is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we recently had our accreditation evaluation. It's a big process, too many words, and it's boring to talk to. Most of you don't care. Bottom line is it is probably the most important element of being an institution like ours is having your accreditation. And it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of inspections. And so when they come, they give us a grade. So it's like, it's like our final exam, basically. It's very nerve-wracking. They give us a grade of, here are some things you need to improve in order to make sure you're in compliance. Here are some best practices that we think you would help you. And then they gave us a list of things that they say, no, here's where you lead the way in ABHE, Association for Biblical Higher Education Institutions. They call those commendations. And one of the first commendations they gave us, one of the first, there's only one first. The second commendation that they gave us was, well, the first one's connected. So the first commendation they gave us was about our service to the military, which is a big deal.
Yes, it is.
Being headquartered here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, being all over the military highway. So many of us on the staff are veterans, are spouses of people who've served in the military, or we're the children of people who've served in the military. So that's a big deal. Our service to that. We voted again, military-friendly school. We've won some awards for that. So that's all great. But then they said, your student body would not stop talking about how amazing their experiences are here at Manna University. They mentioned things like, when I'm not doing well in life, someone proactively calls me and says, hey, how can I pray for you? Are you okay? Students, when they receive, this is a fun fact, you don't know about this if you're a student listening, if you receive an 80% on a grade, an advisor actually gets a notice that says, hey, they're not failing, but you might want to check on them. Like it's automated systems. Students who get a certain low in grade too many times, a low grade too many times, our team members reach out to them proactively. So the idea that for a school that's predominantly online to think that, no, you're not just some cog in the machine. You're not just some number amongst the millions of students who are here. You're not just some abstract person. No, you're a real person. We care about you. And there are real human beings who can call you and will check on you. So our students sang those praises. The sense of, to use another military term, like the esprit de corps students have about being a major in Manna U and seeing the pictures and knowing that they're a part of something bigger than they are, that's just huge. So that's a shout out to our student services director, Daniel McBride, because he really is the tip of the spear in making sure every student is known, is accounted for. We know what's going on. It's just a beautiful thing. I interviewed a student a couple weeks ago who shared some of the same sentiment. They said they went to another school and had an awful customer service experience. They transferred into Manna University, and it seems so trivial to us, but they were amazed that they called and actually talked to a real human and talked to a person who engaged with them. And they said, the only automation was just at the very beginning to press the button to talk to a real human. So all of that just fires me up that, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. I was, before we started recording, I was in the office, and Cherish, shout out to Cherish, she had one of the students in the office who was in full military gear getting signed up for classes, and she's literally like sitting there walking them through it. One of those things that you don't always get at other universities, right? And she starts telling him, like, Dee's a veteran and our president, and she's just going through this list, and you can just see his demeanor. Not that it was bad at first, but it just perked up, because it was like, man, I'm at a school where the people don't just get the school, they get the life, because being a soldier is a lifestyle, right? So they don't just get that I'm a student, they get that I'm a soldier. So when I need that support, when I need that grace, I know I'm going to get it because they get it. So, man. All right. We're going to move on to my favorite segment, Empower. All right. So with all those amazing things and changes, how does this empower those who are affected by the changes? So students, staff, faculty, how does this empower them?
Empowerment is literally releasing someone, right? So it's giving them authority with some tools, with some guidelines, with some accountability, and then releasing them to go do the thing, say yes to the thing, because there's a support system to whatever you're saying yes to. And so I think the end result of how are we empowering people, it really comes back to what do our students do in their active ministry right now, and what do they do when they graduate, which is coming up, right? What does it look like when you walk across the stage and you move on to the next thing? So when I look out amongst our stakeholders, that's what I see is consistently Manna U students and alumni who are boldly walking out the call of God on their life. It's the students coming on a variety of international missions trips this summer. It's our students in other parts of the country who are leading churches, or excuse me, other parts of the world who are leading churches, who are leading movements, because they've been released in a good way, not just tossed out there, but released with almost that prophetic word of you're called to this, you can do this, we believe in you, that encouragement. And it's not just words, it's, here's a whole system behind you of more tools, more resources, and more people that can help you move forward.
We had, I think it was Kylie on, and she was talking about how she felt like she was empowered to do stuff that she didn't think she could do while she was still a student. That's a big deal. Most people, they get out of school, I don't say most people, there's people that they get out of school and they're literally waiting to get out of school just to be able to do the thing. And then some of them don't even get to do the thing right away. Whereas we've got a lot of our students who are doing the thing while they're a student and then stepping into its fullest capacity once they are done being a student.
That's good that you said fullest capacity, because I do believe we've always been this way as a school, and even as a movement. You should learn and do. So that's discipleship. You should be learning while you're doing something, but we want to be careful not to rush the pace of the something, because we need formation. We need to be cooked, right? We're a crock pot culture. What does that mean? Well, we know that charisma, anointing, flash, as Pastor Michael Fletcher says, that stuff can be microwave. That stuff's easy it's mass producible, but that's what matters, character. I would say theology, deep theology, understanding God's word. Time with Jesus takes just that. It takes time. And so we want to be careful not to rush that process. But I think we can live in the beautiful tension of the both and know that, yes, I can study, but I'm studying to prepare for something. While I'm studying, I can treat my activity as an extension of that studying. So I'm learning while doing. So in an instance like you mentioned with Kylie, or someone who's in that kind of worship lane, the idea is I'm getting a worship degree. Why? Because I want to learn more about how what I'm doing is connected to God's word. And of course, there's some technical things you want to learn about it, how to be a more fulfilled, a rich leader. You want to lead from a place you've experienced. So when I'm serving on a Sunday, while I'm working on that degree, what you're doing is you're getting the reps. This is the on-the-job training. This is, how do I say it? This is PE class. I'm in school, and then on the Sunday, oh, that's gym. Now I'm working it all out. Now I'm applying it. I'm sitting in health class. I'm sitting in biology, right? And then I'm going to go work some of this out in the real world, because there's another part of learning. So I don't see our students serving in the local church as anything other than, well, this is just an extension of your learning. In fact, at Manna U, it's why we measure that. Every course, at the end of the course survey, students have to tell us, what did you do in your ministry life, in your leadership? How did this course content connect to what you're actively doing? We ask that question every class so that they're constantly remembering, well, I'm not just taking mentoring and coaching, I'm expected to be mentoring and coaching. And if I'm not, why not? And what could I do to be better?
That's good. Sorry. Excuse me. Okay. So with that being said, how do you want to see the students empowered this year at Manna University?
I want to see more students go all in on their education. So we have a lot of part-time students who are taking one class at a time, two classes at a time. And I think some of those students, rightfully so, it's because of their life situation. I do think, though, there are a lot of those students who are doing it because they don't think they can. And they don't think it's possible. And I don't know what that stems from. I'm a living testimony that you can work a full-time job and have a healthy family life and be a full-time student. If everything aligns for you, you can do it. And there are support systems that'll help you and do that. So I would really love to see more of our students go all in. Take more classes. Don't delay the inevitable. You're not hearing me say rush.
Right.
I'm not saying take more classes to get through it, because the next thing I would love to see is some of the students who are taking a full load, maybe you need to slow down.
Yeah.
Maybe the reason you're struggling is because you're trying to take on too much. I had a student I talked to a couple of weeks ago who did just that and realized, wait a minute, I don't need this degree to become an anything.
Yeah.
I want to learn, and so I'm going to cut back on my load so that I can go deeper into the course. I think we swing to the extremes. So I would love to see our students really just go all in with the learning. I'm still convinced that God is still calling people to vocational ministry. Yes, we have Christian leadership degrees that are going to be used in a variety of contexts, business, military. Yes, we have Christian counseling degrees that are going to be used in the context of small groups or just for people's personal edification. We have a master's of divinity that people who are pursuing the chaplaincy, they're going to earn that degree. I really believe that there are people God is stirring in their heart. You're supposed to be a pastor on a staff somewhere one day. You're supposed to be a youth pastor. You're supposed to be a kids ministry director. You're supposed to go help plan a church as an executive pastor. And I just want to encourage our students to not run away from that call of God. And I think just going all in on the learning, be a student while you're a student. I guess that's kind of where my rabbit trail is going. Take ownership of the call of God on your life. Take ownership of what you said yes to.
That's good.
This is an all volunteer university, right? You know where I'm going with that. No one made you sign up.
Nope.
No one told you to click yes on all those classes. You chose to be here because you said God called you to this. So did God call you or did he not? And if he did, then I would love to see us do more of, let's just go all in, 10 toes down. This is who I am in this season of my life. I'm a student. I'm going to lock in. I think that's where we'll see the things that we might be struggling with are going to start to smooth out, because now you're walking more in the anointing that God has for you than fighting against it.
For certain. Okay, so I can't not mention commencement because it's like right there. I just want to hear, like, what's the one thing that you get most excited about when commencement comes around?
When it's over.
Okay.
That nap, you know what I mean, on Saturday afternoon, when I'm out of those cloaks, I'm not wearing that 50-pound choir robe. You know, look, everyone else has these light and feathery black, great value robes, you know what I'm saying? They got these Sam's Choice robes that are really thin and nice.
Sam's Choice.
I wear this presidential robe, right? That is like, it feels like a 1985 choir robe for real. It is so thick. No, I'm only halfway joking about that. I love seeing all the students together. So what I love about our commencement, we do it at 5117 Cliffdale Road, Manna Church, Fayetteville's Cliffdale site. Thanks to them for always being gracious to us. We used to do it at Executive Place. We've really outgrown being able to do it at Executive Place, which is pretty cool. I love seeing not just the students lined up in the front being honored and celebrated. I love that everyone else gets to almost be that cloud of witnesses looking at this. Commencement is one of the few times a year we all gather together and we tell the story of Manna University. So it's this beautiful connecting point of, hey, what we're doing is so much bigger than this moment. It's so much bigger than the coursework we did. We are a part of a global movement of Bible colleges and universities. We're part of a global movement of this church called Manna with this crazy vision to plant churches all over the military highway. And we've been in this for 50 years. We've been in this for a long time, not as a school, but as a movement, as a church. We've been in this for a long time. The school, some versions since 1978. So what I love about commencement is just seeing all of that come together and the smiles on students' faces and getting to see faculty members again, because we're primarily online. So you get to see faculty members. I remember a decade ago coming to commencement as a faculty member, and what I loved was just that. Well, I get to see these students that I've been with for 3 years and I've never seen them face to face, and I get to see my colleagues, and it's a fun time. But I do love when it's over and I get to take a nap.
Okay.
That's just being honest. Can I tell you what I don't like? We can talk about what I don't like about it. No, I won't go there.
I was very concerned where that was going. Okay, so that was a bonus question, but not the one I had. Okay, here we go.
Double bonus.
Yeah.
Love it.
You're the president. I got to give you
Thank
a little
you.
extra.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. If you had to pick one of the 12 disciples to be your roommate, who would you pick and why?
One of the 12 to be my roommate. Who would I pick and why? I would pick Judas because he's not going to be around long, and then I'm going to have a room to myself. You know what I'm saying? He's about to self-select off of planet Earth because of his choices. So I would have my own room. That's why I would pick Judas. Let me stop because y'all are going to write letters saying I'm making light of suicide. First of all, it's in the Bible that he did it. I'm not making light of it. So if I couldn't pick Judas because y'all would be offended at my answer, then I would say John, the beloved John. He would be. I like John.
You know, I get great joy in asking you these kind of questions because you always, yes, but you come like it's like you didn't even think about it. It was just boom, there's my answer. You didn't know that question was coming.
It's a simple question. I don't want to have a roommate unless your name is Jamie Serrano. I don't want you in my room. So who's the guy who's not going to be around long enough to be my roommate? I'll just get this dude. There you go. Next question. Now I have a room to myself.
There is no next question. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good.
Thanks, guys. Like, share, subscribe wherever you consume this content. We are on Apple, we are on Spotify, and we are on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next month, we're out.